Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough to be doing it too. Today, we're going to be doing it to the Black Claw. That's the Black Claw there. He's a grunt clanmate. He's a very good bloke. And I just happened to find in one of my T25 AT videos, which I'm going to be doing today, a start where we pumped the claw. So I thought I'd put that in here at the intro, just so that he can be up in lights for a few seconds. He loves the fame. Always say hello to him in game. Say, hey, Black Claw, you noob, how you going? Snake Eyes was with me for a lot of this video in Platoon, and this is just after patch 3.7 this, and you're going to see I was running originally on the T25 AT a camo net and binoculars. Now, the problem with that is the 25 AT, and I didn't have a choice back then because it was so soft and so cuddly. It's been buffed a few times since I originally drove it, but it's so soft and cuddly. Back in the day, it had 88mm of frontal armour sloped at 47 degrees. So the most you could get it up to was 113mm or 115mm or whatever of frontal armour, which wasn't enough to do anything. I mean, you may as well have had no armour there because you were just going to get penned regardless. So they went and put a 120mm slab across the front on the very, well, it's very steep, it's quite sloped, upper glacis, and that's done it a world of good. It's made it a tank that's now able to actually get in and brawl. It can bully lower tiered tanks, whereas previously you couldn't really bully anything, because anything with like 100mm or 120mm of AP would pen you. And that's pretty much every tank you're going to run into. Whereas now with the upgrade to the armor profile, you've been able to really do some good things. Let's have a look at that straight away. This is Mojo, my good mate Mojo72 from Scucks. Lovely Kiwi boy. He is here, and you can see the gun mantlet's red as hell. It was always good gun mantlet. But he's using the 130mm of pen on the Dracula. Now you can see once he goes to APCR, well, it's not so easy to just sit there and take it anymore, but it means that he's got to fire Premo to pen it, and you can see again firing Premo. Look at that red TD, and then it disappears. But that's fair enough. It's not meant to have everything. It can't have this superb mobility, and it does have superb mobility. Take my word for it. The thing can get out there and move, and everything else, as well as having the best armor profile. But what the armor profile buff did for it was it meant you could actually be a little bit more aggressive in the tank. And that's good, because it suffered tremendously from a bit of an equipment issue, and I'll get to that pretty quickly here. Okay, so here's the issue with the T25-2's equipment. Now, there's going to be a huge equipment update now, so take this with a grain of salt. And I'm really happy with the upcoming equipment updates, but regardless. If you're using equipment that relies on you sitting still, like a camo net and binoculars, the 25 suffers from that. And the reason it suffers is because there's only 10 degrees of traverse either side of the gun. So as soon as you move past that 10 degrees of traverse, the tracks move, it twitches, and you drop the camo net and you drop the binoculars, the benefits from those things. So you've already got good camo. Look, the camo on the tank's good. I would probably get rid of the camo net, and I'd probably just run optics with the tank. It's not a bad option. It's better if you're able to sit still and use the camo and binoculars to ambush. But I also don't play it particularly placidly or passively. The armor buff has been huge for this tank, and it's really allowed it to become a much more mobile tank that can do a lot more things on the battlefield. Whereas before it was so soft, it couldn't. Now, your armor is not amazing, but the equipment loadout for it now is very straightforward. Your vents, your rammer, and then I just run optics. It's like running a medium tank loadout. Now, there's going to be some huge equipment changes coming up, so obviously this will be outdated when that happens, and I'm going to run everyone through those equipment changes when they happen. But until then, just run it in a nice little simple setup. I wouldn't bother running the enhanced gun lane drive. You've got to be stationary really for that to be working on a TD, and like this thing, you know, it's neither here nor there, but it's not a bad drive. If you want to run a gun lane drive, I'd rather run optics, but you know, it's both of those will work. The important two are your vents and your gun vammer. Now, the 25, like a lot of the TDs at this tier, actually, like the Jagdpanzer and such, Jagdpanther, you can run 2 guns. It's got a 90mm gun that has 13 rounds a minute, 170mm a pen, and 258 on its APCR, and it has 225 alpha, and that does a massive whopping bit of damage too. Or you have the gun I prefer to run, which is a 105mm, but both are really good guns. That is 9.4 rounds a minute, 198mm a pen on its APCR, and 245 on its AP and 245 on its APCR. But it's got 310 alpha. Now, the dispersion on that is a little bit bigger, 0.337 versus 0.310. Now, these are all with vents and double rations, but your aim time is the same on both, 3.5. But that 310 alpha I just find is a little bit nicer. I prefer that. And it's got a little bit more pen on your AP rounds. I mean, you know, whatever. Both guns are equally good. Damage-wise, this thing's a monster. It will pump out 3,000 damage per minute, which is great. And there's a lot of TDs at tier 7 which actually do that kind of thing, but it's a wild machine in terms of traverse. You can get up to 46 degrees of traverse, which means that you can change the angles on that upper glacis pretty quickly, which is really, really handy. And because it doesn't have that big yaw or pitch, or yaw either side of the turret, I'm thinking of a plane, either side of the turret, you can see the gun moving left to right there, just moves the track straight away. It's very sensitive to following medium tanks. And by that I mean, if someone's trying to come at you and get round you and you've got a really big traverse, I mean, it's only a little bit, it's only a millisecond or half a second or something, but if you've got like 25 degrees of traverse either side of the turret and you're in zoom mode and you start turning your turret to follow them, it takes a little bit longer to do it. But this thing twitches straight away, like bang, bang, bang moves. You're very, very quick across the ground. You have a big engine, 774 horsepower engine, the Continental AV 1790, which is lovely, thank you very much. And that lets you go 56 kilometers an hour, but it lets you get there pretty bloody quickly. And what I found was I could be aggressive in the tank, and because I do a lot of these on the move kind of shots like I would normally in a medium, and I drove it more like a soft, a reasonably armoured medium. You're still not going to be able to bounce shots with premium, but you are going to be able to bully tanks that are lower tier than you. What it has going for it outside of the mobility and the solid armour and the nice gun and the good DPM, well, it's got 10 degrees of gun depression. You can see me using that here, just getting my head back up over the edge and then firing down. 10 degrees of gun depression makes it also a lot harder for them to pen you. I mean, that's an IS-6, it's a tier 8 heavy, you're going to run into those, they're pretty nasty for this thing, but you've got enough penetration on your APCR, certainly to sort them out. And you can see, going to get a shot at that Helsing, if we can ever get him to sit still enough. There we go. And just moving around. But we're right in the midst of the battlefield here. You can see I've driven it pretty aggressively. And that's the 152's fantastic Russian accuracy really doing him in there. He's got to wait 15 minutes to reload. That's all right. We've got plenty of time. I'm going to show you a game now of me running the 152 on Canal, the T25 on Canal. And I'm running camo net on that. And I think it's the last game I ever ran it with camo net. I changed it pretty much. I just wasn't getting any real value for money out of it. And I tried it pretty extensively, and I just couldn't get any action from it. In terms of aim time, you're right around, the front of the pack. See, the problem you're going to have here, there's so many different kinds of TDs at tier 7. It's really got everything. It's got the massive alpha 152s, and you've got the high DPM slow things like the Blitz. You've got the stupidly overpowered Helsings. You've got the Jagdpanther, which is a lot like the T25 and 2, but has a lot going for it as well. Very similar tanks now, the Jag and the T25 and 2. You've got the SU-100M1, which has no gun depression, but is very aggressive and has a pretty good armour profile. You've got the turreted 25/2. This is the T25 AT. Sorry, I keep calling it the T25-2. Don't mind me. I'm just an idiot. And then you've got the 122S, which is crazy DPM, and the 122-44, which is massive alpha, but has a gun that could go anywhere. Now you can see this is great. This is me looking at them. There's one medium over there, so we're missing 4 more meds. We're missing 3 more meds and a light. So I'm going to push around here, and because the tank's so quick, look at it go. I mean, it's really got mobility coming out its ear hole. I'm going to use the guys in front of me and stick close so I get a little bit of cover there. I'm going to push up right into these trees rather than using a camo net and staying stationary all the time. I'm going to push right up into these trees. I can see a bunch of tanks over there. I'm not spotted, and there's plenty of targets over there. So what I'm thinking is they're all going to be looking over on the right. So even if I am physically visible to them, they won't be able to get a shot in very quickly. And then I pull back. I'm waiting for someone to pop on the left. I've still got plenty of support there on my right. And what I've done really there is move around with the team, taking a shot in that drac early, and then I'm pretty confident because the only mediums left are tier 7 mediums, that I'll be able to brawl or DPM down anyone that wants to come and get stuck in, especially with this tank having some distance. And they're going to have to trade distance for damage with me. And you can see there's no real need for camo net and binoculars here. I've got the Panther, but then very low profile, nice quick reverse, 15 kilometers an hour. Miss a shot from the Panther there. And I'm going to use game mechanics to get down here behind a bit of brush, so in case he does come around the corner in a sec, I'll be able to hit him. And I'm going to sneak another one here on the Panther and then pull back. 10 degrees of gun depression, that'll do us just fine and dandy. You've got a big gun mantlet there as well. And then I'm going to set up for the shot here as he comes past. And this is what I mean, this tank, with you've got more than enough traverse to brawl these guys, you really do. And if you're smart about it and use hills, you can completely negate the mobility disadvantage that a lot of mediums and light tanks have all over you. And the Panther's not the most nimble, but it's nimble enough. And you're going to see me with a couple of shots here, namely the one on the drac in a sec. There's the drac. Drac's moving down. I push forward just to put his aim off a little bit, and then I'm just going to take a no scope on him here. Covered him very easily, and that's more or less how I like to play the tank. Sticking around with the team, moving around, trying to make mediums trade distance for damage, because you'll always be able to keep them in mid-range, always be able to keep them in front of the guns, no problems at all. It's quick, it's got great DPM, it's got a reasonable armour profile now with that 120mm frontal upper plate. You've got a big weak point where there's a view hatch there, but if you're not sitting really still, they'll hit it every time, but you shouldn't be. And it's so much more fun to play. They've really finally fixed this tank to the point where I think it's a good tank. It's solid and it can hold its head up amongst its peers, and it's got a little bit to offer. It and the Jag Panther are really fun tanks, and they offer something interesting at a tier where there's just a huge variety already of tank destroyers, and that's cool, and that's pretty good. So that's a T25 and 2. Rock, roll, and do the best you can. Lots and lots of stuff coming up. I'm going to be doing a few shorter podcasts this week, just chatting about questions and things that I've had from both the comment sections of YouTube and the Twitter profile, and talking to the humans. So until next time, look after yourselves and stay safe on the battlefield.